give them.
Okay, brother. First you say your name and when did you born and where did you born. Then you talk about your mother and father. What was their professions, how educated themselves. Okay.
My name's Kyle Rourke, and I was born here in Los Angeles, California, 1970. My mom is from, and dad are both from Kansas City. My dad's from Kansas City, Kansas, and my mom's from Kansas City, Missouri. My mother's an English teacher, so she has a bachelor's degree, and my dad's a mathematician, so he has a master's degree, and he was an aerospace engineer, and they both just retired.
Okay, what was their religion life, how they were living? How much you speak more is better for us. So please talk about if they had any religions or...
My mom's a Christian Scientist, so that's a Protestant religion that comes from Boston. It's a very small kind of a religious sect, and we grew up reading the King James Version of the Bible. So I grew up going to Sunday school every weekend with my brothers. I have two brothers, an older brother and a younger brother. And my dad is an agnostic and a scientist, so he never went to church with us. So it was just my mom and my two brothers.
Okay, what about your brothers and sisters? What's their profession? And yeah, please you talk about your if they take you to the church, or how if they educate about religion, or how they educate you for life growing. This part is about your kidness.
I'd say we weren't that religious. My mom's very religious, but I'd say my two brothers and I, we kind of rebelled against religion, and we just had a lot of questions that I don't think we found an answer to in the Bibles. We all liked some of the Bible stories. My older brother's a professor who's kind of a Marxist, so he's very left. So he's kind of rejected God. And then my younger brother is a construction worker. So he's married and has two kids. So he's starting to look into different religions. I think he's been to the Mormon church, and he's been to a couple other Christian churches. He wants to find some kind of religious background for his family. And I'd say for growing up, from what we learned in church, it was very different from how school was. Like there was a lot of pressure, mostly just to be a good student, get good grades, and there was a lot of pressures growing up for going out and having fun, drinking, doing drugs and stuff like that. So I think the religious background for a lot of kids that I grew up, we just kind of didn't have the faith to stay on the right track. So most of my friends were agnostic, or nobody really talked about God. We just did what we wanted to do.
This is general in USA, I think. The people are they are living how they want to live. They don't want to care the rules of anything.
I think so, and I think a problem with a lot of people, younger people, feel like there's a lot of hypocrisy in church. We watch on TV a lot. The religious leaders always getting in trouble for talking really good in sermons, but then they get arrested for a sin or something. So we saw that a lot on TV. So I think as a young kid that affected a lot of us in religion, where we just lost faith in a lot of the Christian leaders in this country.
So you mean that the teachers of this Christianity and the popes were not good samples? They are just speaking and they are not good samples.
Everybody that I know really believes that, unless somebody's a very strong Christian. But I think a lot of times we see even the strong Christians still, they kind of lack a faith that they live in their daily life by, you know, how they spend their money, being generous and treating other people kindly. I think there's a problem with the Christian faith in America right now.
Let's come to other question. So we start from the primary school. Do you have any good or bad memories about your father and mother?
Mostly good memories. I think my parents were very good people and tried to show me the right ways. I was just never a very good student, so I got in trouble a lot, and I don't think my parents really were able to help me with school, and most of the time I got average to poor grades.
Okay, let's come to your education, brother. How was the education? Please start from your first school, then go secondary, elementary, and high school. Even say the names of the school where did you educate, and talk your school time.
The first 10 years of my life, I grew up in La Cañada, and it was pretty much a pure white neighborhood. We didn't have, the only minorities were Asians, so I kind of remember that there was a city right next to me that was Pasadena, and they had a lot more, it was pretty much African American, and I remember they were going to integrate the schools, and I remember on TV seeing a lot of white parents yelling at little black kids on the bus, and that had an effect on me. So when I was about 3rd and 4th grade, I went to a private school, and that was a little bit more mixed, where we did have more minorities. So it was the first time I went to school with African American kids. So I felt good being able to make friends with people from outside of my own race. And then we moved from La Cañada down here to Palos Verdes, and the schools up where I grew up are very challenging, and most of the parents have a lot of money and a lot of education, so there's a lot of pressure to study hard, and if you're not good in sports or school, you kind of fall into the wrong group, and I started listening to rock and roll and hanging out with friends, and I grew my hair long, and so that was my lifestyle. I didn't really care about school, and I was looking probably to get out and go into the military was my idea by the time I got into high school.
How was your school time? You were not a good student, you mean? Did you like the school? What about the teachers? What they were thinking to you? I mean, how was relations with the schools? And sad memories you can talk.
Bad memories in school, I don't have too many. I did go to kind of a special school where you could go to school part-time, and I got into lifting weights. So I started to exercise a lot. So I did get a skill before I joined the military. I learned how to weight lift, and that was the best experience I had. I had a weightlifting teacher that spent a lot of time with me.
And okay, brother, let's come to you. Did you go to high school? You finished high school?
I graduated high school,
but didn't go to university.
No.
Okay, so after the high school you start to work, isn't it? Could you talk about your working?
While I was in high school, a friend of mine joined the Army in 1988, so I went and saw an Army recruiter, and then also a United States Marine recruiter. So I decided to join the Marines in 1989, and I went down to San Diego in 1989, and when I got out, the Berlin Wall fell down, and the military invaded Panama. So while I was in my training, I watched all this, and right as I was a new Marine, the first Iraq War broke out with Kuwait, so that had a big effect on me. I was in Japan during the time, but almost everybody I knew went over and had to fight in Kuwait. And I was 20 years old and 21 during the war.
During which war?
The Desert Storm.
You have been in Iraq?
I stayed in Japan. I never went over there.
Yeah.
But I saw everybody go.
So you were in the naval military?
I was in the military from 1989 to 1999.
It was a naval military, ships. So you were working on the ships? Destroyers?
No, I worked on artillery, so I shot cannons. We're right behind the infantry, so the Marines' job is to be the first to go into battle. So like if we land on a beach, we'll go from the ship.
You land on the ship, you have it only in Japan?
I was in Japan, Hawaii, and Kentucky. And in Kentucky, I was switched over into the Army, and I was in helicopter warfare. So I flew in helicopters and shot cannons again.
What's the meaning of shot cannons? What's that?
A howitzer, it's a big gun that takes about 5 to 7 guys to fire. So you work together as a team, firing like maybe 4 miles away. So you don't see the target. You load a big bomb in the cannon and you shoot it kind of like a rocket.
I see, I understand. You don't see the target, but...
Right, they call it indirect fire.
Indirect fire. What was your mission in that?
I was...
What's your duty?
I was the second, like a sergeant, so I had one boss, and then I was in charge of 5 guys. So I had to make sure everybody did their job. I also drove the truck too. So I also worked on the radios.
You worked there for 4 years?
9 years.
9 years you worked. Why you abandoned that job?
I ended up having some trouble, so I left early. I had some trouble drinking.
Oh. Well, if you want to tell, tell. No. If it's not dangerous for you, you tell.
I probably would have gone to the war, but I ended up got in trouble drinking, and they sent me into a program. So I stopped drinking for most of the time into the military, and that was in 1990. And then I started back up in 1997, and I was under kind of a lot of stress with, I'd been married a couple times, and I ended up going back to drinking, and I lost my career in the milstory.
Got it. You said that you married a couple times?
Yes.
Why you don't tell those stories? We need story.
I think it's kind of common for a lot of guys in the military. They you're away from home, you get lonely, and you meet a girl in town, and it's easy to get married in the military because they can give you a house, and you have enough money to provide for your family, and so then you get married kind of fast, and maybe you don't pick the right girl. So maybe a lot of guys, when they go away, the girls get lonely and stuff, so it's a kind of a problem in the military. There's a lot of divorces in the United States military.
That's the reason that divorce? What's the reason they divorce so usually? Even in this society is so common. Even in America it's so common. Why it's so much? Well, what's the reason that in America the people divorce easily?
I think, you know, a lot of times it has to do with maybe you didn't get married for the right reasons at the beginning, and you didn't spend enough time getting to know your wife or your spouse to see if you had a lot in common or she had a good character. And then I think a lot of times it's infidelity, so one person cheats on the other.
Then this is the reason to divorce.
Yes. And I think also financial pressure too. A lot of times, you know, people, our culture's kind of materialistic right now, so people want things that their friends might have. So then you have to either work really hard, or if you're an honest guy, sometimes it's hard because other people are making their money not honest, so they have a lot of things, but you don't have a lot of things.
So yeah, you mean that because of economic problems, the man divorced his wife? She is not working.
I'd say a lot of times the wife maybe gets mad because, oh, you should have more money. So I think a lot of guys feel a lot of pressure and burden that they don't have. That there's always some guy that's got more money than them.
You mean the lady? The lady pressure to the man?
Yes.
That you don't have money, the other people have too much money?
Yes.
Then the man divorced the lady?
Or the lady divorces the man, gets another boyfriend or something like that.
Ah, boyfriend. I see. Even the husband, when he saw she's with a boyfriend, then divorced, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Or sometimes maybe the man gets into a fight with his wife or hangs out with his friends, and you know, sometimes, a lot of times it's the guy's fault too, where he's making too much money and he's going out and having a girlfriend.
I see. When he makes money, he says that why I'm busy with the wife. He goes up to...
I have to go work, I have to go do business and go out and drink and stuff. So I think that for a lot of people, you know, drinking and business, it causes a lot of problems where they're not spending time with their family.
Because of drinking?
Drinking, or people say, oh, well, I have to go spend time with my clients. So they go out to a bar and when they should be home with their friends, like maybe trying to network. People do a lot of dinner, drinking, go to the bar, and talk to people for business and stuff. But then it ends up being too much of a party and not business anymore.
But I don't go that detail. Could you repeat it? They go to bar for speaking about business?
Yes.
Then what?
Then they have too many drinks and they don't go home soon enough.
So they stay in the bar?
Yeah.
They drink till morning?
Probably till 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Then where they go?
They go home, or sometimes some people meet a girlfriend. So.
Yeah. Then the problem starts in the family. You mean? Yeah. Got it. No, this was interesting. So you work in the naval military 9 years.
9 years.
Then where did you start to work?
After the military, I got out and stayed in Kentucky. I stayed in a small town and worked in a factory for 2 years, working in a steel mill. And I had a wife and a stepdaughter, and then we ended up having some problems with alcohol and drugs, and so she had a drug problem, so I had to get a divorce, and I came back home and started a new life here in Los Angeles about the time when 9/11 happened. So I went to school for 2 years, and that's when I first made my first Muslim friends in college.
Okay, inshallah, we will come to, yeah, let's come to your, but I wonder, who had the drug problem? Your stepdaughter or
Wife.
Then you divorced her.
Yes.
You couldn't stop her to.
No, I couldn't stop her, and then I started. So
You started what?
So when she had her problem, then it affected me, and I got onto drugs for a while.
Ah, I see. Then you understood that this is wrong, and you divorced her.
Yeah, I think both of us, we just knew that we couldn't help each other. So.
Where is she? She's okay now.
She's
Personally, I wonder.
she has a hard time still. But she's in Kentucky, so I've heard from my stepdaughter a couple times.